Hi there, this is welcome to the video. This is the third video on the W204 rear subframe corrosion debacle problem. I've got another couple of videos out there if you want to look at those explaining exactly what the issue is, but this is just a quick video to give you a couple of pointers if you're thinking about changing your own. Definitely not a repair video as such, and I suggest anybody that's attempting this, you need to be reasonably competent and you'd need to have a reasonable range of tools to do it and the equipment to do it safely, of course. I've got one of these hydraulic scissor lifts, so it makes the job a little bit easier. Excuse me, but I did see a video on YouTube where somebody had actually done it on axle stands, so it's not impossible, and I think he took a long period of time, just did it when he had a chance. So not too bad a job. Fiddly job, yes, but doable. Complicated, no. But I'm hoping to give you a couple of pointers in a minute, just to help you scratch your head like I did with a couple of things. So first things first, I've got to remember to tell you everything, because I don't edit my videos. It's just a one shoot thing. So the subframe came from a company on eBay called Euro Subframes. It was 425 quid. I ordered it last Thursday. It's come today, Monday, so you got the weekend. So it's taken 2 or 3 days to get here from Ireland, so that's great. I do, thumbs up for these companies that actually go to the trouble to source or make or supply these aftermarket parts, which allows us to keep these older cars on the road. Where I think a genuine Mercedes subframe, they were out of stock for a bit. Anyway, I think I've £800 plus, but I think they're actually £1,000 plus, and they were out of stock earlier this year. So the frame, I would say, it comes with the bushes, so that's nice. So all the fixed bushes in the are in the subframe. It's obviously, you can see it's painted. I can see a little bit of spots of rust coming through the some of the welds, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The welding is perfectly adequate, but there is weld spatter on it, so I'd say it's not as tightly welded as the original front frame. But what you expect is an aftermarket car. It seems perfectly serviceable. It came well packaged, plenty of bubble wrap, some foam on these tabs for putting the suspension up, and yeah, I think thumbs up to them. Good for them. It's going to be a big improvement. Right then, so let's talk about. So this subframe, I am going to give it some rust treatment. So first of all, on the outside, I mean, I did think about using Dinitrol, which is similar stuff to Waxel, all over it, but it would need to be done out of the car, and then you're handling all that horrible stuff when you put it up. So I'm going to use this. Never used it before. Genelite Rust Shield. Got 3 cans. That came off of Amazon, I think. And I'm not sure. I never used it before, but they show it being used on bike frames and stuff. But they say it's like a flexible rust prevention coating. So I might give it a dab on something else just to see what it goes, but I believe it's good. The subframe is going to be handleable, or is going to be okay to handle after. It's not going to be like a Waxsaw stuff. And then on the inside, I've got a proper shoots gun, and I've got a hose. I'm going to Dinitrol the 3125. This is the HS, so it's similar to the ML, but the ML is quite runny, which is good if you've got active rust, because it sort of creeps into the rust and all the joints. This will still creep, but the HS I think is high solids. So the problem is with the ML, well, not the problem, if you put the ML on that, it's just like water, and it runs out of every nook and cranny and all over the frame. So I'm hoping this is going to be a bit cleaner. And this is you know what it's like. You end up with so many half tins of unused stuff, and then when you come back to it, it's all gone solid. I want to be able to do, once the subframe's out, the body work underneath, and this would appear to be suitable in thin coat in those areas as well. So I've just got one product. It'll go on the inside of the subframe, and it will go on, when I've got the subframe out, it will go underneath there to coat the car bodywork. So what I'm actually doing with mine, I'm dropping the old subframe out. Now I'm literally just going to transfer So we're going to have to disconnect the prop shaft here. So we're going to have to transfer the suspension components and the diff onto the new frame out of the car, then it'll all come in and back up again. So where do I start? Well, first of all, tool wise, okay, now I've got a pretty comprehensive toolkit, but I did find I needed some extra stuff, so but some of this stuff you might not have anyway. So you need some e-sockets, or female Torx sockets if you like. I think there's mainly two sizes you need, so I believe it's the let's get this off. Where are we? E10, and the E10 was for this little bolt here. Ooh, focus. Well, and this little bolt, if we can get to it, is those. There's two of them up there. Can you see those two up there? This is the front subframe mount, so it's got the main subframe bolt mount there, which is going to be, let's have a look. Sorry about the wobbling about. There we are. So the main subframe bolt is going to be an E14, and I believe that is the same bolt. I've taken them off here. Might have been a normal. Yes, there's the bolts on here. Where are they? It's a job to get to. Are they the? I think it was. I've actually taken it off. Right, those are 12 point. So E14. So basically, what I'm saying is, you do need. Let's go and get that. Let's go and get the. Sorry. Let's go and get that other bolt. Excuse me. So I don't edit my videos. Excuse the mess. But you're just unpacking the subframe. Oh, what was that? Ah, there we are then. Right. Okay. Shock bolts. We got any nuts? Right then. Okay. So shock bolt. So I took the shocks off. Right then. Apart from me chucking stuff around everywhere. Yeah, so this shock bolt is the 14 as well, and that's this hole here. The shock's off now. So this is partially dismantled. I've only got to take the full subframe bolts out completely. They're loosened off. Right, so we've already E10, E14. So you're going to need a range of E-sockets. Okay, and as far as remember, at the moment E10 and E14 will do it. The other thing that I didn't have was a very large Torx. I had Torx up to T55, but the prop shaft bolt, this is all marked off ready, these have come today, is that side is T60. So you need a T60 Torx, and the biggest one I had was T55. The other thing you're going to need, don't you love Mercedes, is 12-point splines. Now I'm not sure how these measure quite, but anyway, so to take this off you're going to need a 12-point spline. Okay, so there's this type which is fixed, and I've got this one which is part, you know, you've got the socket that goes on the end, 3/8 or whatever. That hasn't got a size on at all, but this has got a size, and I think, I don't know, I want to say it's size 12 because it's got 12 on it, but does that mean it's got 12 splines? I think it's size 12 because I did look in the case for this one, and the size below where it was in the case, it had got 12 on it. So whatever it is, size 12, and that's for those there. And there's quite a few of those. I think all the yeah, that's got a spline in as well. So the plan is with this, oh, you can see I've already started backing these off in preparation. Well, actually, I've taken the springs off. We'll come to that in a minute. So basically how this is going to work, the subframe will be out of the car, the arms will be taken off where they attach to the subframe and swapped over. You might say, well, I'll change all the arms when I'm at it. Well, these aren't cheap, and I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, even if you say they're 30 quid each, 2 sides, that's going to be 300 quid, and it had no advisor in the MOT, and they seem fine, so I'm going to live with it. This is an expensive enough job as it is, and who knows what's going to go next, or whether I keep it or whatever. So let's get on to, so we've covered the tools. So you're going to need that, what we think is a 12, size 12, with a 12 spline socket, the E60 Torx, and the 10 and the 14 E-Torx, and it's up to you what you're going to get. You can get the E-Torx in just a 1/2 inch drive, the E-Torx, or that set I've got goes, it's got a range of sizes, but it's 1/4, 3/8 and 1/2 inch depending what size socket it is, and then a good normal set of spanners. I've got impact wrenches and stuff, which has helped with the with taking some of the tighter bolts off. So what I've done, I'm hoping this helped, I'm just trying to remember everything. So basically, first thing I did was take the calipers off, the carriers off, and cable tie these up there, so we don't have to take any hydraulics off. Do that both sides. The other thing is taking the ABS sensors off. Again, they were an might be an E10, I'm not sure, but again, they were an E-Torx. They came out, they weren't rusted in or anything, they came out fairly easy, and just tuck those up in there. There's a spare clip there out of the way, so those are off. Took the brake drums off, the brake discs off, which are also the drums for the I'm not going to undo this because it's raining. Took the brake discs off, which are also the drums for the handbrake. The reason why I did that was you have to release the handbrake cable from underneath. Oh, and it is a faff. So on this model, they didn't do a Haynes manual for this model. I've got the one for the W203, but you can see this is the handbrake cable. That is normally tucked up over there, and that end goes into that side, and the other cable clips into that side. So that end, yeah, that's right, there's a little joiner up here. You can't see it at the moment. So you have to fiddle about up here. So the drums are off, so you can pull the cable and expand the shoes to what they would be able to expand to if the drums were on, if you know what I mean, because there is no other place. There's, like up at the front with the foot pedal, apparently it's got this sprung arrangement where it takes slack out of the cable, so there is no adjustment as there is on the old model, the 203, underneath the back seat. So there's no adjustment of the cable, it's all adjusted with a spring, so you have to overcome that to take it off. The wind's blowing a bit. The only other thing you could do, which I noticed, if you took this, I didn't fancy doing it, if you took this heat shield off completely, there's another joiner. Can we see it? I don't really want to bend this, but there is another joiner like this one, but up there, so you can take the heat shield off, and that is far more accessible. But I didn't sort of I thought this was a one piece, but they do call the brake, there's a front cable, a middle brake cable, which is this one, and then the 2 end ones which go to the things. So I fiddled and faffed underneath here and managed to do it. It was doable, it was just a bit of a fiddle. But I say an afterthought would be to take that off. I had to take 2 screws out of this anyway to drop this out the way. Oh, we might be able to see it. Can we see it? Oh yeah, there it is. It's up there. So if you took that front one off, there's another joiner in there, and you could perhaps, that might be easy to take it there to allow you to take this off, but you do have to drop the screws out of this side to take this off. Okay, but it is a fiddle. There's some sprung loaded, oh, see the little ears on there where they go into this bracket up here, so you need to get on the inside of here, squeeze them together with long nose pliers and pull that. But and that was just to get it out of, to get the cable out of here. There's like a little slot, can you see that? So I could actually get it out of there. And where this one joins on here, they've got this joiner to hold them together. There was a little bit of rubber tube they put in so they can't jump out, so you won't be able to get the cables out unless you take the little rubber, it's like 10mm long bit of a rubber squashed in, deliberately squashed in the thing so these can't jump out the holder. So was that was another discovery. Right then, so yes, the handbrake cable, so the drums are off to allow you to pull, these ends, so that if they're on the drums, they're going to be, you're only going to be able to move it a little bit because the shoes will expand and touch the drums. So that was the first thing, one of the first things. You have to take these plastic nuts off here, and there's one there to allow you to get down, dust, to get these down. So that was done both sides. And I did actually struggle. These bolts, Torx bolts, which are out, which are up the front of this mounting bracket, can we see that? Those, there's two of them, holes right at the front there. They sort of hold this plate on. That's the main bolt to hold the subframe on. They hold this plate on. And as you can see, when this is up, well, I'll actually show you better on this side, this is up. They are quite difficult to get back, and even when this is sprung down, and those bolts, a word of warning, they are going to be rusted in. This is one of them that I showed you earlier when I was talking about the, see how rusty it is? So that would be fairly easy to snap off. You see how corroded it is? That was the worst one, I think. And it actually, make sure you tap the socket on, because once you slip and you knacker that head up, you're a bit stuffed. So, and it needed winding in, winding out, winding in, winding out. I used plus gas and stuff, you know, to try and get them out. So what I did, because I was having to do, and I got my little impact gun, I was having to, but even if you had a sock, trying to wind it in and wind it out, right, because it was getting tight, I didn't want to snap it off. So what I did was, with one of those cone cutting drills, I cut 2 holes there, which almost line up with the holes up there, almost line up. There's holes in here anyway that are the Mercedes put in, and to take this off, I believe, yeah, it runs the whole length of the car, and I couldn't get it off because I've got the lift underneath it, and I thought, well, it's, you know, in the big picture with this. So what that allows you to do, rather than faffing about and not being able to line stuff up properly to those Torx up there, you can get a socket in here. And I chose the position, that's why they're not quite lined up exactly, you know. I worked in between those little ribs on there and put that one there. And when I was at it, I thought, actually, this is a good idea because these are tight as well. I put a hole in there. Right, again, not perfectly in line. I was just trying to do, you know, you don't want to end up drilling in this groove, trying to make it look factory-like, I suppose. I drilled a hole in there, and it was, you know, those conical cone cutters, the step drills or whatever you want to call them, and I did the same the other side. And oh god, that you know, I struggled with the other side working through here, and when I did this side, because this one was really tight and I'd already slipped off the Torx once, it allowed me to put it through and use a copper hammer and tap the Torx bit on tight. That was so much easier. It's just so much easier. Even if you just make this the size of your extension bar and then put the socket on the other side, I wouldn't, you know, to make this as for the size for the socket would be quite a big hole. So that's my top tip, is to drill those holes there. I mean, it's up to you. You can struggle like I did at the beginning. I suspect the Mercedes, they take these off completely, but you know, we're talking about a 13-year-old car here, so that's what I did. Right then, so Yes, the exhaust, that comes off fairly easy. It's just like a round clamp, like a male and a female, and just the Torx, 1 bolt Torx on that. Again, it needs a wire brush and a bit of plus gas to help get it off. It was a bit crusty, but a little bit of a tap with the hammer and the joint split. Again, rubber hangers on here. And actually this one is a real struggle, this one up here, because it's all behind here. I suspect if you took the bumper off it'd be easier. I bought one of those rubber hanger, there's some pliers you can get for the rubber hanger to get rubber hangers off. I bought some of those because I know they're a bit of a fight, and the 2 silencers, it's the original exhaust, is pretty darn heavy, so be careful when you take it off, you don't end up with it smashing onto your chest. And I got some of those exhaust pliers, so I got the ones that are really, it's just like a round bar with a hook on and a welded fork plate the other side. There's some that look a bit more fabricated. Mine were all black, if that helps. They're off Amazon. They're about 11 quid, so it's got a big, like a 8mm round bar bent like a hook like that, and like a 5mm plate with a fork the other side. And actually it did help for a tenner. Especially for this one, it was a job to get it lined up for that one up there, but I did manage to, I took a couple of bolts out here to give a bit more flex, and did manage to squeeze that one off. Right then, we've spoken about this prop shaft, so remember to mark it up so it's all lined up when you put back, so it's balanced. I've actually drained the oil out of this while it was up in the air, and it's obviously this Fill for Life nonsense, we won't get into that, and the oil was pretty cruddy, to be quite honest. I think it takes about 1.1 litres, and Fouche doing oil, which you can get off eBay for about a tenner. Fair, you know, you may as well do it while it's off, because you might have to pop these drive shafts off. I'm not sure about that yet, but I'm hoping to keep it all as an assembly to put on. Right then, so I know it's a bit of a long video, but I'm just trying to impart a little bit of knowledge. There are some videos on YouTube of people taking these off, but some of the details are a little bit missing. Right, so you can leave the shocks connected to the top, but take the bolt out the bottom, and that's going to allow the subframe to drop off. All the other suspension arms can stay on. Now, what I did do, because it was just easier, and I've been waiting for this subframe, so I've sort of got on with a couple of things. Like today, I mean, it's raining there, but I might slip the prop shaft off. I've taken the coil springs out the back, purely because I thought it might be problematic when the subframe is out. I have got like basic spring clamps, but they're quite a job to get in here because there's so much gubbins about. And I thought, well, actually safer to take the springs out while it's bolted to the car, so at least the one side, the subframe part, is fixed. And then what I did was I undid this bolt. I had my trolley jack with a oh, I don't want to fall off the edge of this concrete here. I had a trolley jack with a wooden 4x2 post underneath here supporting it, and I undid that bolt, and I just then with the trolley jack gently lowered it down, keeping my face well out of the way until the spring, well, this didn't drop out because they usually stick in the top, but dropped it down. And I think that is probably a safer option than trying to struggle with it on a couple of trestles, trying to clamp it and the spring goes wonky one way, and you've nothing unless you tied this up or ratchet this up. Everything's under tension. At least while it's on the car, it's one side is fixed, and you've just got this to control and worry about, and the spring. And I'll do the same when I put it back. So basically how it is how it will go back on the subframe, and then when it's in the car, I'll drop these out again, and I will jack the spring up with the trolley jack with a block of wood underneath here, and push it back and put the bolt back in. So I think that is about it. I believe so. Yes, it's a simple job, as in it's not complicated, but it is a fiddly job and a bit of a faff, especially, you know, is say I've got a good range of equipment, but even I've had to go out and buy some stuff. So I'm in no hurry. I've got a spare vehicle on, so I've sort of started stripping it down last week, and that's why I'm able to make this video. I've not been in a rush. It's allowed me to go and research and have a look and find out exactly how some of these bits are connected and went on, such as the handbrake, because I was looking for this handbrake adjuster nut that might be somewhere, but apparently not. I read a Mercedes document which said there is no adjustment on the handbrake cable. Any slack in the cable is taken up by the spring, and there's like a spring, looks like a clock spring on the foot pedal in the front. And I thought, well, I don't really want to be going in near there and trying to undo that. The spring, taking the spring off, sorry, the handbrake cable off, is probably the worst thing about it. Right, I hope that helps. So my next job is to take it out. I'm not going to show that, that's up to you how you do it. How I'm going to do it is a couple of trestles here with a couple of strong boards, like short scaffold boards, and I've ordered, I think it was 30 quid. I think it's called a motorbike stand. It's like a scissor jack, but like wide-ish, like, you know, 300mm by 400mm. So I'll set my trestles, which have got adjustable legs underneath here, snug it up to underneath the diff, undo these bolts, and this scissor jack has got like a bolt on it, and slowly unwind that and lower it down onto the trestles either side, because obviously these bits are lower and it's going to touch that, or it might touch the back plates, touch that, and then I can take and get someone to help me lift it out. So there we are. Again, I hope that helps. I can't really think of anything else. The video is 25 minutes long, but yeah, a few tools. Be sensible when you take it out. You don't want, this is going to be quite heavy. The subframe, the new subframe I've picked up is quite heavy by itself, let alone with all that, the drive shafts and the diffs and the hubs. So I suspect I'm going to have to get a bit of a hand, somebody give me a lift out with this once I've lowered it down. But anyway, if there's any more updates, I'll put a video number 4, and anything I find out, but it should be straightforward from now on. All the complicated bits done. It's just a matter of dropping it out, swapping the bits over and putting it back together. Thanks for looking. Speak to you later.